Whew! You see that? That's a real life snowball. It is for real winter break here. What's up, everybody? My name is Seth with SethPerler.com. It is winter here in Colorado. It's winter break here for the students. They are gone, but I am here at the office making you a video. In this video, parents, today is about a big problem that happens over winter break. I'm going to tell you exactly what parents do and don't do over winter break that they should do, what you can do. I'm going to give you 7 specific tips. I'm going to give you a printable PDF, an amazing piece of paper you can print. Wow. So here's the problem. This is actually really important, parents. So it's winter break right now, and I talk about the dip pattern. And the dip pattern is where if you have a student who struggles with executive function, I don't care if they're in 5th grade or if they're in college, you have a kid who struggles with executive function, here's what happens with the dip pattern. They start off the semester, seems to be going well, then things start to dip. 6 to 8 weeks, very predictable into a typical semester. Everything falls apart. Suddenly you realize that all the grades have just faded and everything's gotten really bad really fast. So then that dip has happened, and then your child spends the rest of the semester trying to dig themselves out of holes, trying to swim upstream, trying to deal with the missings, incompletes, late work, all this stuff with the dip stuff, right? Then the last 3 weeks of the semester is what I call Hail Mary time. That's when not only are they dealing with all this makeup work and all this stuff, but they also have final exams, they have final projects, they have final papers, they have large reading assignments. All 4 of those long-term things often get put off to the last minute if they are done at all, and then the semester is over. And now we are at the point of winter break, which is where we're at now. And parents, this is what I want you to listen to. This is what often happens with the families that I work with during winter break. You start winter break, you don't have the grades yet. The grades come out finally, and you see the grades, and your kid has gone through the dip, and the grades were not what you expected. And you're like, what in the world happened? You told me you studied for finals. You told me you turned in your final project, blah, 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 blah. And why do you have 3 Fs? What happened here? And parents are baffled. And the students really, who struggle with executive function, really didn't have the tools to navigate all this, really weren't effectively tracking all of the things or taking the effort needed to do all of the things to really actually study for a final exam, to really actually write a well-written essay based on a novel they read, or whatever the case may be. So what happens is oftentimes parents will use a few things that don't work very well, or they may work in the moment, but they're not actual solutions to the problems. One of those is the rewards. So, a lot of times parents will say, okay, well, if I reward them for what they did well, if I say I'll pay you money for A's or whatever, they'll try to use rewards. But in this case, it's often punishments and lectures. So in this case, you got a kiddo who just the semester didn't end well, and you sit him down, you lecture him, you talk about it, it's winter break, you have the big sit down, you're disappointed, you're like, what happened? You try to lecture, try to rationalize, try to convince them, try to get some information from them that is going to make you feel like in spring it's going to be different. And then the final part of the dip pattern happens that I talk about. What is the final part? It's not Hail Mary. It's right now during break, and it is called parental amnesia. What happens with parental amnesia is parents forget how bad it was. Your child is going to tell you, no, I got this, leave me alone, I swear I'll do it differently, everything will be perfect this coming semester, everything's going to be different. And the parent forgets how bad it was. And the parent thinks that it's going to somehow solve itself. And then real significant action is not taken. So I'm going to tell you what to do right now. That's not going to fix everything. It's not the way I roll. It's not reality. But it will help. Here are 7 things you want to do. So rather than just lecture your kid, punish them, and hope that things are going to magically change, there are 7 things you can do. These are real things, parents. This is what I do day in and day out, is work with these kids. This will help you if you do this. Number one, it's break. Relax and connect with your kid. You got holidays, you got family in town, you're going out of town to see family, you got connect with your kid. It's the most important thing in the world. Don't talk about school the whole break. Take some times to talk about it, sure, but don't string it in all over the place. Enjoy your kid. Enjoy your relationship with the kid. It's the most important number one thing in the world. So, number one is relax and connect with your child. Connect. Number two, print the grade details and print this PDF that I have included with this video, which will have these 7 tips for you. And it'll help it be in a checklist form for you. But print those 2 things. Print the PDF for this and print the grade details. So a lot of my students will look at the grade. They'll be like, oh, I got a 76.8. I'm like, I don't care that you got a 76.8. I want to see the grade details. Why did you get the 76? Are there missings? Are there incompletes? Is there late work? What are the patterns? Are the patterns with tests? Are the patterns with homework? Print the grade details, the details that show why your child got the grades that they got, whether or not they're A's or F's. Now, if you know me, you know I don't believe in grades as a moral issue, but they do exist. They are a necessary evil. So print the grades so that we can figure out the patterns that are going on. Number 3, do what I call a pre-talk. That means that you're not going to come out of nowhere and say to your kid, hey, we're going to talk about school. That feels very emotionally unsafe to people. What you're going to do is you're going to have a pre-talk. Pre-talk looks like this. Hey, kiddo, what's up? We need to have a talk. This Friday at about 4 o'clock, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about school. We're going to talk for about a half hour to an hour. As long as you're forthcoming with me and you're honest, then we'll be done. And if not, it may take longer. But you're not in trouble. I love you. I care about you. And I'm going to do everything I can do to help you. And part of that is having this conversation. So we're going to have a talk on Friday. It's going to last about this long. We're going to be sitting here. You're going to, during a pre-talk, tell them what's coming so that it's not out of left field. Because that, again, that feels very emotionally unsafe. So tell them what's coming, what you're going to talk about, how long it's going to last. Now, they may want to talk about it right then, but don't do it. Keep your boundaries. Say, no, it's okay. You're not in trouble. We're going to talk about it there. But they may have legitimate questions because they may really feel like they're in trouble depending on your dynamic with your child. So obviously you want to help with that. But set up a time and actually talk. Have a real talk. No cell phones on. No computers open. No TV on. You're actually communicating face to face. 4, have the talk. Have the heart-to-heart talk. Now, during this heart-to-heart talk, there are 2, 4, 6, 7 things I want you to talk about during this talk. This is on the PDF, so you don't have to remember this. Number 1, the most important thing is notice what your kid did right last semester. When you have this heart-to-heart, be like, look, I'm so proud of you. You're so compassionate. You're so creative. I notice when you do this. I notice when you do that. I notice how you are with people. I notice your strengths. I notice your interests. I notice your passions. I notice your gifts. I notice really focus on what they did right. Really see them for their effort and where they did try. Oftentimes these kids feel like nobody sees what I'm trying to do. Nobody sees how hard I try. Well, that's because nobody really does see that. Make a big deal out of it. Make as big a deal out of that as you do the other stuff. B, ask. I ask this to my students all the time in different forms, but the question is basically this. If you could turn back the clock, what would you do differently? So at the beginning of last semester, if you could change things, if you could go back and do things differently, what would you do? It's a great question. Now, your kid may not tell you because you may not have a relationship where your kid even trusts that you're actually listening to them. So that's a whole nother issue. But you want to try to build a holding space for them. It is so important to reflect. So important to reflect. So I will often ask kids, what would you do differently? If you could turn back the clock to the beginning of this semester, last semester, what might you do differently? And it's amazing what they come up with. Next, ask how they might take that action this coming semester. They don't have to have the right answers, parents. You don't have to logic them. You don't have to rationalize them. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to have a perfect conversation with your kid right now. Just get them thinking about it, okay? How might you apply those actions this coming semester? That's what you want to know. Next, ask, how can I be helpful? How can I help you do that? and listen to them. Now, again, depending on your dynamic with your child, you may not have the type of relationship where your child feels safe or comfortable or like they're even going to be heard by you if they tell you these things. But ask the question anyway and hold space for them and really try to listen. Really ask them, how can I be helpful? What would help you? And really listen. If they say, well, don't help me, and that's what would help me, then you can say, don't be offended, parents. Say, what do you mean? Tell me more about that. How do I not help you? How does that work? Explain that to me. I want to understand. Really try to hear what they're trying to say. Next, ask, okay, look, next semester when I'm trying to help you and you're resistant to my help and you don't want it, what should I do or what should I say? When I see that you really legitimately need help, but you don't want it and you're like, back off, leave me alone, I got this, but you really don't, what do you want me to do and say? So that's an amazing question for parents to ask to see what they think and how you can open the door and really try to hear them. And then, as I said before, take the printed grade details. Now you take your printout of your grade details and you say, all right, look, here's the grades from last semester. Here are the details. Let's find the patterns. What patterns do you notice? Always try to get buy-in and ownership from your kid. Try to get them to say, oh yeah, I noticed in this class I have this pattern of not turning in homework. In this class I have a pattern of not doing well on papers or not studying for tests. Try to get the buy-in and ownership from them as much as possible. But discuss patterns and try to discuss solutions. Again, don't beat a dead horse. Don't try to convince them or logic them. Just have the dialogue. Your goal is more to have a conversation that feels good to both of you rather than to get them to see the light. Next, last thing in this conversation, in this heart-to-heart, ask what would help these patterns that we just found on your printout of your grades. What would help these get 1% better? 1% better. I just want a small solution from a kid. I just want them thinking. I don't want them thinking, how do I turn my F's into A's? I want them thinking, how do I turn my D's into a C minus? I want it very attainable. I want it very not overwhelming. That may sound counterproductive to some of you parents, especially parents who are very, very, very detail-oriented, highly driven and stuff like that. That may not sound right to you, but trust me, what you are trying to get is momentum, okay? You're not trying to get perfection. And a lot of parents who push for that perfection, it backfires on you. And then you repeat the same pattern semester after semester. So that's number 4, have the heart-to-heart. Number 5, later on in the break, you do overhauls. So the break is going to end soon. What you want to do is you want to overhaul everything with your child. You got to overhaul their backpack. You got to overhaul their folders. You got to get rid of all the old papers. A lot of families don't do this. And I have a kid that comes in here into the office and they have all the same papers that they had from a semester that's over, just filled in their backpack. Nobody's taken the time with this kid to go through all this stuff and question, why are you even keeping this? And do you have the systems in place for next semester? So later on in the break, not the day that you have the heart-to-heart, later on in the break, before you guys go back, we go back January 7th here, which is a Tuesday. So maybe on the Sunday or Monday before you go back, if you live here in this district, overhaul the backpack and the folders, overhaul the planner, make a new desk calendar, which I'll show you in a second, and overhaul the study space and email the teachers. So let me show you the desk calendar. This is one of mine from last semester that we had. So you want to start a brand new one where you make a big giant these are $5 for this big desk calendar. Just put the important stuff on it for spring. You can do this for your kid or with your kid. I make them bright, really clear, really easy to see. We don't put everything on it, but big stuff like tests, exams, papers, projects, things like that. Those are really helpful. Anyhow, the point is overhaul the systems, overhaul the folder, the planners, all that stuff. Email the teacher, say, hey, what's up, teachers? My kiddo's in your language arts class, and we are looking for clarity. And usually in that, I have a bunch of things about the advocacy letters. But basically, you're saying, teacher, hey, what's up? We want to have a successful semester. What do we need to know? That's essentially a super short email. What do we need to know about this semester to support our kid? Thanks for everything you do. I always frame it real positively. Number 6, after you do these overhauls, patiently and persistently take baby steps. Patiently and persistently help your child take baby steps throughout the semester. patiently and persistently help your child take baby steps. Micro successes. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? The way that your child is going to grow and become successful in school and in life is through millimeters, micro steps, baby steps, small steps. Look, maybe you luck out and get an epiphany and a giant change every once in a while, but that's not what I'm working for with kids who struggle with executive function. We're looking for how can we take another small step forward. So that's number 6. And then finally, SNO, the Sunday Night Overhaul. The semester is now started. It's January, it's February. The most important thing that you can do is to help your kid do a Sunday, what I call a Sunday Night Overhaul. You can look on my site for that. But essentially, once a week, you're helping them update their systems, update their planner, update their backpack, reorganize their stuff, clean off their desk area where they study at home, check the portals and stuff like that. So there's a lot of nuance around that, but essentially that's one of the most important things that you can do that's actually going to get you some traction. So connect with your kid. Number 1, print the details of the grades and print this PDF that I have right here. Number 3, do the pre-talk. Tell your kid, hey, we're going to have a talk. Number 4, have the talk. Number 5, do the overhauls. Number 6, patiently and persistently take baby steps and get your semester started. Number 7, do the Sunday night overhauls. My name is Seth Perler. I'm an executive function coach based out of Boulder, Colorado. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, do you, whatever you want to do. I put a lot of heart into this. I sure would appreciate your support and your sharing and your subscribing and stuff like that. I do have a group program called UGYG, Upgrade Your Grades, which starts mid-January. This is a group program of my online program. I worked really hard to overhaul this and make this amazing. If you're interested in joining us, I am literally officially closing the doors tomorrow, Monday, December 30th at 8 p.m. And then the people who have chosen to be in that group, I've got you for the whole semester, and I'm going to take care of you. And I'm going to help you through the semester, you and your child, to have a better semester. If you're ready for change and you're willing to take action and you don't think it's just going to fix itself and you want to do something about it, feel free to check it out. Check out UGYG and join us if you want. If not, that's cool too. The things that I'm telling you, the things on my blog will help you, but you have to take action. It will not fix itself. Start taking baby steps today. Remember, the relationship's the most important thing, so go have fun with your child. Enjoy this break with them. Be well. I will see you soon. Take care.